morning on this Friday morning. Boy, it's been a really wild, great week this week. We've had a lot of movement to the upside, and yesterday was no exception. We had a really powerful move yesterday, started early, accelerated, and the Dow finished the day up 350 points or 1%. Very, very nice. The NASDAQ didn't start off as well, but the NASDAQ certainly did take off pretty nicely. It was up nearly 2%, 270 points to the upside. So you could sort of sense what was going on in the markets. And obviously names that were powering that were some of the biggest names that we've got in the markets. Crude oil, it was 114, slid down a little bit towards 111. That was something that I think does stand out. Our volumes were a little bit lighter than we had been seeing, about 37.5 million contracts trading. We were about 42 million for an average, so about 5 million off of that. So percentage-wise, we certainly are a little bit lighter than we have been. There's no doubt about that. Also, volatility index, 21.5 towards 24. We finished 2160. We finished on the lows. So we finished essentially on the highs when you look over at the Dow as well as the NASDAQ, but the volatility index just continues that move and that path to the downside. So every single sector finished in the green. That was something that I thought was pretty impressive. Technology definitely leading the way. 2.7% move to the upside. You got the subsector of semiconductors. That was up about 5%. Names like NVIDIA and AMD and Intel. We talked about Intel in that big move yesterday. Some call buying. Going out into deeper parts of April, though, with some of that call buying at those 55s. You had Marvell as well. Marvell's been a really, really nice performer. And I'll tell you what, I skipped right over technology, but let's not do that because Apple, Google, Facebook, Tesla, all had a very, very nice day yesterday, given that lift there as well. Materials, you got names like U.S. Steel, you've got Freeport-McMoRan, you've got Cleveland-Cliffs, all those names having a pretty good day. And the financials, not nearly as strong as the rest of these sectors, but it was mostly, it seemed, in the card space. So you look at American Express, Visa, MasterCard, all had a pretty good day. JP Morgan had a pretty decent day as well. Chinese names, that's where we saw a little bit of the weakness. We'd seen those monstrous moves earlier in the week to the upside, seeing a little bit of settling back. That does make some sense, just like we talk about with oil. Oil a week ago, 95, got all the way up to 115. It makes sense that you'd have a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a pullback of some sort. So PDD, JD, NetEase, Baidu, all those names took a little bit of a shot to the chin yesterday. Okta, another one of those. By the way, really, really late in the day, we had some cannabis paper that was absolutely outrageous in just about every name in that final, 45 minutes of the trading session. It was Tilray, it was Cronus, it was Canopy, it was Aurora, all of them hitting with unusual option activity, hitting to the upside. Those names closed pretty nice and strong and had some decent follow through, at least early on, a little bit of pullback, and we'll see as the rest of the day goes on. But certainly a lot of activity there late. Very interesting to see that. So early parts of the markets, here we go. We started off up about 100 points, up about 65 points on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has just sort of sputtered today since that pre-market level. Then you look over at the NASDAQ somewhere north or south of flat, but 20 points or so, almost nothing. Meanwhile, we've watched the price of the Dow go up and up and up and add a little bit, up about 200 points. Last I looked, that thing can change in a hurry. We know that. Crude right around 110, actually slid down towards 109 as well. Bitcoin, 44,800 for Bitcoin, having a pretty decent day. 10-year just keeps on moving to the upside. Last I looked, it was about a 244. That thing's been ticking very, very nicely to the upside. We'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, everybody's looking at the 2s and the 10s and all these various ways of trying to analyze all of this, but certainly watching that move at a pretty decent pace to the upside. Volatility, pretty tight, 21s, 22s. It's a Friday. We know that. You'll start pricing that in around noon. So we'll see as we start to see a little, we just might get underneath 20 today. It's a possibility. A lot of that depends on the markets themselves. But as they start to price in the weekend, we might actually see the volatility index crack underneath 20. We'll see. We'll keep a close eye on that. Early on, when you look at all the sectors, almost nothing moving. Matter of fact, nothing more than about a 0.4% move early on. That changed. Financials started to take a little leadership, some of the staples as well. Energy had, believe it or not, a little bit of a lift, even with that little bit of pullback we were seeing in oil. It was technology and it was semiconductors, both in the red early on, that were pulling down a little bit on that NASDAQ. NASDAQ, like I say, it wasn't down anything significant, but it's been in the red for the majority of the session so far. We'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the day. We know how powerful it's been in those big mega cap tech names. They've certainly done a pretty decent job of holding up and pulling up the technology, but also the NASDAQ itself. So where are we seeing a lot of the strength right now? Airlines. You look at American, you look at United, you look at Delta, you look at Alaska, all of them moving to the upside. Those fertilizer names as well, specifically Mosaic, really, really nice day. I mentioned the financials. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, all having a really nice start to the day. We'll see how we finish. And on the negative side, it's names like Etsy, it's Moderna. Moderna's up and down. It's on that list almost every single day as far as a fairly powerful mover. Today, it's to the downside. We also have Seagate with a little bit of a shot. You've got those Chinese names. Day two of the Chinese names getting a little bit of a push to the downside. Baidu, I look at JD, I look at PDD, all of those in negative territory. Zoom, Datadog, Home Depot, you get the idea. Oh, and let's not forget about NEO. They missed on those deliveries. That definitely pressuring the stock today. I got two unusuals, and then I look forward to seeing all of you on the halftime today, as well as the 5 o'clock show. I don't know who the host is going to be. It might be Brian Sullivan again. We had a lot of fun with Sully yesterday. If not, hopefully we'll be able to see Melissa Lee. But we will be seeing Scott Wapner on the halftime show, and you'll see me there with a couple of new unusuals as well. First one for here, however, Facebook. Right out of the gates today, Facebook trading around $223.84. Not long ago, Facebook was the $200 stock, actually even into the 190s. But a nice move over the last period of sessions. Here we are, $223.84. We got a buyer of next week's expiring 225 calls, 6,500 of those. Started off at $2.80, finished off as the stock was sliding higher, finished off paying all the way up to about $470, just to give you a reference point on where we were seeing some of that unusual option activity there. Also, I wanted to add this one, Kron, which is Kronos. This is another one of these in the cannabis space, but it also hit with some call buying today. We've seen that in other names as well. This one, trading around $4, and we've got 3,000 of the April 29th, so you get the entire month because we're nearing the very end of March, obviously. You get the whole month of April. April 29th, these expire, the 4 calls. Those are only going for about 43 cents. We'll see if that can continue on the move that we have seen. We know about the vote, legalization, all of that, definitely giving that big lift that we saw yesterday and into today, this morning. So we'll see how that plays out as well. Folks, hopefully you have a great day, a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you hopefully at noon and 5 o'clock today. If not, enjoy your weekend.